Welcome back to Matchbook's NFL podcast. Week 11. Can you believe it? Let's call it what it is, gentlemen. Was not a good week 10. 2 out of 6, 33% knock. But fear not, it's a brand new week. We will bounce back as ever, one of our rare losing weeks. I'm joined, if you're watching us now live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, by Mr. Jesse May at the top right of your screen, replacing Rob Bizzola. Rob's got the week off this week. Mr. Drew Dinsick at the bottom right of the screen, the whale capper himself, and Germany's finest, Mr. Fabian Sommer. Jesse, I'll come to you first. We had a question on last week's show about the New York Football Giants, whether to back them at 11-1 to win the NFC East. They are now 4.5 best price to win the NFC East. 3-7, they get 6 wins. They win the division.
I mean, I'm a diehard fan, so I wouldn't take my advice. But having listened to Rob Bizzola last week, I think he would still be on the thumbs down on the Giants. But I'll be watching with interest. I'll just say, look, I had a losing week last week, like everybody else. I think lost a few units, but I did take some pride in the fact that I did not this week lose the plot on Sunday night and Monday night trying to get even. And, I know like a guy like Suma probably has never lost the plot on a Sunday or Monday night before. But for the rest of us, I think it's important to remember that discipline is as important to winning betting as winning betting actually is.
Hey, Jesse, mate, it only took you about 25 years, man, but you're mature.
I know. Well, season's not over yet,
Season's not over yet. And speaking of which, Drew Dinsick, it was a tough slate, man. I mean, look, losses on Seattle. I think you were warming up in the Giants as well. Overs in Vegas and the Ravens. It was just a bit of a shit show, let's be honest.
Yeah, and I mean, to Jesse's point, I had plays on Sunday and Monday night after a bad Sunday day, and the market moved against me on both of those, and I'm just sitting there like, what do I do? Obviously, there's some news, there's some information somebody's got to read that's stronger than mine here, and really that was the story across the board. The market recognized that the injuries for Seattle were more important than I did. That number moved heavily in favor of the Rams, and realistically, I thought in hindsight, the Seahawks not having their center and the pressure that the Rams were able to generate with their front four was enough to make the difference in that game, and the Rams were incredible. Similarly, the Ravens, the injuries to their offensive lines, we knew about it. I had adjusted for it, but I still had the Patriots defense at the bottom of the league. They get Lawrence Guy back, and all of a sudden they have a completely different look defensively. They were so much more well prepared in that game. So much, the scheme was better. The intensity was obviously there for them. The Ravens just were completely flat in that one. That was disappointing. And then the market, heard the news of Matt Nagy's giving up play calling to Bill Lazor and promptly bet the bejesus out of the Vikings. And it was like, oh, I guess Bill Lazor's not going to be any good. And we watched that game, and yep, Bill Lazor's not any good. So
that's some shock horror.
Yeah. So yeah, but all business today. We're going to come back Absolutely. Firing in week 11. It was a close call. I almost gave back all my winnings for the season so far in 1 week. You never want that to happen. So I'm going to get back into the grind and find some good looks for this week.
Suma, your best bet over in the Panthers and Bucs, that came up, but there was a couple of other tough losses last week now.
Yeah.
You forgot about that one. That one.
I thought I had the Bengals as my best bet.
No, I thought we talked you up because they were off the board at the time, so I actually logged it as over now. Yeah.
Okay. So that game came through easily to Drew's point. So I think I overestimated the Ravens offense last week, and I think I also underestimated the loss of Calais Campbell as their best run defender. The Patriots were able to run all over them, so I think that's something that I underestimated. Then I got extremely lucky on Bills +3.
Oh, did you?
Cardinals kneeling on the 2-point conversion instead of kicking the PAT. It was extremely lucky. And my insights column play Broncos Raiders over.
That
At
was
halftime, I
tough.
thought,
That was tough.
That was a bad beat.
There was so many things happened. There was so many different drops, and even Darren Waller at the very start of the second half, he was home and hose, and just so many different things. Drew Lock throwing that interception at the end of the first half. Tough. That was a tough one. That was a tough one.
That was brutal. Yeah.
Look, we move on as tough going.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, we move on. Right, let's move on. Of course, to Week 11, we're covering on today's show. We're going to cover the Rams and the Bucs, Chiefs and Raiders, Packers, Colts, Falcons and Saints. Any other bets? Week 11 top dogs and best bets. And just on that last one, the Falcons and Saints, we were going to cover the Ravens and Titans game, but that's off the board. The new normal. We just didn't want to cover it because we're just not sure about injuries. Jesse May, kick us off. Let's look at Monday Night Football. Rams against the Bucs. What's the current betting at Matchbook, please, sir?
So, look, two teams we've been involved with a little bit lately. Rams at the Bucs. Obviously, we swung and missed last week with the Rams and the Seahawks, but hit on the Bucs. Right here, we've got Bucs as a 3.5-point favorite, 1.543 in the money line, and that total fairly low considering this season, 48.5.
And it's been lower. It actually opened at 48.5. It's got bet down to 47. It's been bet back up to 48.5. Drew Dinsick, the Bucs was one of the few bets we got right last week, -5, and boy, did we get it right. The Rams, we went against them. We got that one wrong. Well, which way are you falling down on this one?
This is a really, really fun handicap. There is a lot going on in this game. You have a spectacular matchup where the Achilles heel for Tom Brady over the last 20 years has been, if you can get interior pressure on him, disrupt the pocket, he is a much less effective quarterback. And that is exactly what the Rams are bringing into this game. They have the best player in defense in Aaron Donald, who is disrupting pockets and playing at a level that we haven't seen in a couple of years from even him. And it's a problem potentially for the Bucs if they are not at full strength on their offensive line. They made some nice maneuvers last week in the absence of Ali Marpet. They gave Tom Brady a clean pocket, and he absolutely picked apart the Carolina defense. It was not competitive. They could have gone even more than 48 points or whatever their final total score was in that one. It was a very strong performance by them offensively. This is a very tough matchup for them. I'm still watching carefully for news about Ali Marpet. I'm still watching carefully for who exactly on the Rams is on the COVID list, because if it's Aaron Donald, then this should be a 6-point game or a 7-point game, right? Whereas if it's just some guy, then maybe this is a fair price. But either way, that's a fascinating part of this handicap. And then you flip the script. We know exactly who Jared Goff is when he's under pressure. He is not a very effective quarterback. He loses his most important tackle in Andrew Whitworth last week. That sets up a very, very dicey situation where they are going to potentially be under pressure in this game. And the Bucs aren't the greatest team at generating pressure, but they have capable edge rushers. And I think if they can, get after Goff and disrupt him to some degree, then that helps out this defense. And even still, I think this is a good matchup for the Bucs defense because they've been playing aggressive. They've been defending the short pass well. They've been jumping on routes. They've been, that's kind of how they've been playing defense this season, and that's exactly that's exactly how the Rams have crafted their offense now, where they're running a lot of the quick outs, ball out of the hand quickly, lots of yards after the catch potential. So I think the Bucs defense can do fairly well here. And then the final two amazing, interesting handicapping wrinkles. This is the Rams' fifth or sixth trip to the East Coast already this season, which is insane. Insane. Yeah. That they've had to travel east so many times, but that could go both ways, right? That could be there's so much cumulative fatigue that they're dead off the plane, or it could be they finally adjusted to the rigors of this and they're totally fine. And on top of that, the Bucs have been terrible in primetime this season. Most notably embarrassing themselves on Sunday Night Football 2 weeks ago. And you have gotten clips from Bruce Arians this week talking about how he's going to move practice later, try to get his guys some reps under the lights, try to just in general get them to perform better at night. That's a positive sign for me. I think at this point, I haven't made a play on this game. I'm waiting patiently for both the Rams COVID news as well as to see if we ever get a fair price on a 3 here. Right now, I'm leaning Bucs. I think the Bucs are the stronger team. I think that if they're at full strength on the offensive line and they can just put 2 hats on Aaron Donald, then you give Tom Brady time. With Evans starting to get healthy and Godwin finding chemistry with Tom Brady, and Gronk still is a mismatch nightmare for this Rams defense. There's just enough weapons here that I think you can score on this Rams defense, who's been clearly the number 1 defense across the NFL. This is just a great matchup and a great game, and I'm really happy this one's in prime time.
Yeah, you're happy. Not so happy for us over on this side of the pond. Where it's a tough one. I would have loved this one on Sunday night. It's funny about the Bucs because I was thinking back. They've just got slaughtered twice by the Saints this season. But if you look at their record outside of games against the Saints, they're 7-1. They're averaging just under 34 points on offense. And they're only giving up 19 points on defense. And I kind of wonder myself, maybe it's just the Saints is kind of like their kind of kryptonite. It's just not something that kind of works well. But Sommer, what are you taking away from this one? Early look-ahead line, Bucs were laying -3. There's been a small adjustment to -3.5. But which side are you falling down here, man?
I think they are actually unbeaten outside of Saints games, right?
Well, they're 7-3. So, yeah, who did I lose to?
Sorry,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
The Bears got him somehow. The Bears.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about it. Yeah. Thursday night football.
In prime time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
wow. So Drew mentioned a lot of things, and I don't really have anything to disagree there. Right now, I would also lean Bucs. The Rams over the second part of the season, so I think weeks 4 or 5 to 10, the Rams have been the number 1 pass defense in DVOA and the number rush defense in DVOA, which is completely bananas. So usually you have a great pass defense and a so-so run defense, or a great run defense and can stop the pass. But the Rams have found a way with what was in preseason underwhelming personnel, in my opinion. They have managed to orchestrate somehow the best defense in the league so far. They're doing some really interesting stuff like 3-3-5 formations. They line up Aaron Donald on the edges and bring pressure from the other side. They try to find one-on-ones for Aaron Donald. Darius Williams, I think he's an undrafted cornerback. He's playing lights out, almost on an all-pro level, something that I haven't seen coming, to be honest. Jalen Ramsey is able to shut down the number 1 receiver. So the defense is very good, and I can honestly see the Bucs struggling quite a bit there, especially when Bruce Arians wants to establish the run again over and over again. But at some point, it's going to be tough, in my opinion, to cover Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Antonio Brown. So
A lot of weapons, yeah.
I think, and Rob Gronkowski, Ali Marpet is going to come back. So they actually have a pretty good interior offensive line with Ryan Jensen and Ali Marpet. So I can see the Bucs having some success. I don't expect another 40 plus burger, but I think the Rams defense is able to give them some fits and force some punts. But in the end, I think that the Bucs are going to should be able to score more points than Jared Goff in this, in my opinion, terrible matchup. Andrew Whitworth is, in my opinion, the most valuable offensive player not named Jared Goff. I think that this offensive line, I think this offensive line is going to struggle. And if you go back like 3 or 4 weeks and look at what Brian Flores and the Dolphins did with Jared Goff, all these condensed pressures, all these heavy blitzes, this is textbook playbook from Todd Bowles, and I think he's going to open the gates of hell and blitz Jared Goff to death. He's going to send a lot of pressure over the left side, which is now going to play with a backup left tackle. And Jared Goff has always struggled in these kind of games. He struggled last year against Todd Bowles' defense that was played in LA. He looked horrible for the majority of the game. He looked horrible against the 49ers last season, at least in the early game where the Niners were able to generate lots of pressure. So Jared Goff and pressure, it's not a thing of beauty. I think tough spot for the Rams here, tough matchup for Jared Goff, and I would also side with Tom Brady and the Bucs offense, and I would also have a small lean on the under because I think both defenses are going to get a lot of stops, and this is not going to be a shootout in my opinion. So I would also lean Bucs at 3 if it gets to a 3, and I would also tend to lean on the under.
Just on what Drew was mentioning about the Rams travel schedule, I think we were talking about this a few weeks ago when they came into Miami for Tua's debut, and I mean they got shelled in the first quarter. They were really flat, or was that just fluky? And is that a pattern for you, Drew? I mean,
well, it was an especially bad spot because they had not only had they made another trip east, but they had just played 2 primetime games, and then they kick off at 10 a.m. Pacific. That's awful. Like that is, it's very tough to get your energy up for that type of situation. As someone who's traveled from the West Coast to the East Coast a lot, it is miserable getting up in the morning because your body clock is just like, this isn't right. What's happening? It's not a good feeling. So I think Suma's points were all strong. I don't know that the travel angle is bettable here, but I think that the game plan that the Bucs had for the Packers is perfect game plan you can re-implement here against the Rams. Put pressure on Goff, make him make mistakes, and let Tom Brady work with all these weapons that you've provided him, which is just death by attrition here. I think we should probably lock in the Bucs. I'm just looking at the way the market is, been kind of drifting on this one. I don't know that we're going to get a fair 3. This probably settles on 3.5 at a flat -110. So, I think all of the points also lean to under. Except I can't square what happened in this matchup last year where they scored 95 points. Like it was really crazy.
That's right.
There was just no stopping either team last year for whatever reason.
Famous Jameis.
Famous Jameis. Yeah. Swap out Jameis for Tom Brady and add more weapons, and all of a sudden we're expecting a defensive battle here. So it's a crazy how much things have changed in just a year. But I think we should probably lock in Bucs as a look.
All right, Jesse, let's lock in.
Rob Pizzola once said, I think a couple of weeks ago, friends don't let friends bet unders in 2020.
I like it.
I think you might say we won't be betting the Eagles anymore as well. That might be another one for next week. We'll ask Rob's opinion of that next week when he's back on. Okay, Jesse, Bucs -3.5. Let's lock that in. No, Jess, I want some betting for Chiefs and Raiders, but I know it's off the board. It was up this morning. It was off the board this morning. An hour before we did the recording, it was back on the board. No, it's off the board. The new normal, Jess. But I think Jess' general consensus was Chiefs -7. And the total is 56, Jess. I think if you can confirm that.
That's what we're seeing across, and I think that's what it's going to be when it comes back up. -7, maybe shading to 6.5, and an over on 56, around 56. Now, Mr. Auto Bet the Raiders over Rob Pizzola's not here, but you guys know how he thinks. So, I mean, tell me, would he blink at 56? I know this actually opened a little lower.
Suma, do you want to go first to that? Open to 55,
Yes, so I think I couldn't bet the under in this one, but there is certainly a case to be made for the under, and that's one. Currently, both starting tackles for the Chiefs are on the COVID list right now, Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz. Mecole Hardman, wide receivers, also on the COVID list. They might all come back, but right now it's probably a shaky situation. And the Raiders, I don't think they are the great overall team that has been winning, I think, 3 games over the past 4 weeks. But since week 5, they are the best rushing offense in the league. And the only thing that the Chiefs struggle to defend is the run. And the Raiders are a run-first team. They are going to pound the ball on early downs. And that might actually be a way to move the ball on the Chiefs, and that keeps the clock ticking. So if those starting tackles are out and the Chiefs are really handcuffed on offense, and the Raiders are trying to shorten the game on the ground. There's certainly a scenario in which this game could stay under the total, but on the other side, it's the Raiders. They have been averaging, I think, 58 points per game in non-win games. It's the Chiefs' offense, Andy Reid off a bye week. They have some revenge, so I don't think they will overlook the Raiders here. They play in prime time. I think the Chiefs are going to be very well offensively. They're going to score points, so it's hard to bet the under here. But like I said, if those tackles don't come back, there's certainly a case to be made.
True. Any opinions on the side? Because we're going to hear about it ad nauseum this week about the Chiefs' loss to the Raiders at Arrowhead, and like we don't want to get too involved in this, revenge narrative. And there was this other story going around. I didn't realize this at the time, that apparently the Raiders did a victory lap in their buses around the stadium. I've never heard of a victory lap in buses, whatever the hell that was about. And you just wonder, are people just going to say, "Oh, you got to bet the Chiefs this week. You got to bet the Chiefs," because they have the revenge factor. But we don't really want to get into those too much, surely.
Yeah, funny fact: teams seeking revenge against a team that did a victory lap with the bus around their stadium in the first matchup. In the second matchup, you don't believe this, they are 3-0 against the spread. So this is obviously a time that you got to back the Chiefs. I think that's what we've learned. If I've learned anything in handicapping, that's how this works, right?
Yeah, and always follow trends. Trends.
I guess I'm being tongue in cheek, but there is something to be said about some of this, because when you're defending champions, you just won the Super Bowl. You're at the top of the standings in your division. You beat the tar out of these guys, twice last year and twice the year before. And then they come in and beat you. They're the only team that's beaten you this season. And to a degree, we've seen a little bit of a lack sort of championship-itis from the Chiefs this season, where when they are clearly the better team heading into a matchup, Andy Reid's not necessarily putting the good plays into the playbook. And they're not necessarily like coming in like, okay, we're going to beat this team by 3 scores because that's how much better we are, right? They're kind of going with the other direction, which is, let's go out and have a fun Sunday. And, if we're losing late, we'll do something. We'll let Pat Mahomes, do something magical. Right. And you can talk me into a little bit of there is a motivational angle here where Andy Reid can get these guys fired up. He can get them to kind of really buy in and be motivated and play hard on defense, especially, which is going to be important, because if we learned anything from this first matchup, it's that the aggressive passing offense that the Raiders are running right now can hurt this Chiefs defense. I think Chris Jones in general is a good matchup against the Raiders. I think in general, if you can get interior pressure on Derek Carr, he's not as good a quarterback. And I think if they can get their defensive line fired up, that can be the distinguishing factor in this game, even in the absence of potentially the other side of the ball. When the Chiefs are on offenses on the field, the tackle situation bothers me. Mitchell Schwartz has been gone for like 3 or 4 weeks, so that's not him. I was hoping he would be back for this one because I'm on the Chiefs. I like the Chiefs in this spot, but. Even if he's not there, I don't know that that's entirely, the biggest problem. And obviously Cleveland Farrell, the defensive tackle for the Raiders, who was huge, he made a huge impact in terms of generating pressure in the first matchup. He for sure, I believe, will not be available because he tested positive for COVID this week. So, and that could trickle into other players on the Raiders defense as well. So the Raiders could be shorthanded defensively in this spot. And all told, if you're going to give Pat Mahomes time, and even if the tackles are gone, that doesn't really shake my confidence, because Pat Mahomes is so good out of the pocket. When he is on the run, when he is on the run, as he's extending plays, as his guys are running amok downfield against this secondary for the Raiders that has a very difficult time with tight coverage, I think they're going to be able to find theirs. They're going to get their points in this one. It all kind of comes down to, can Andy Reid get his defense motivated? Are they running decent schemes to stop what the Raiders are doing offensively this season? And if so, then I think 6.5 or 7 is a bargain for the Chiefs. I think fair price on this one should be closer to 8.5. So I'll back the Chiefs in this spot.
But hey, Drew, the Raiders defense forced 5 turnovers last week against Denver Broncos, 4 interceptions against the illustrious Drew Lock. So I don't know, they could be good. They could be good.
That's one game improved their defensive efficiency so much that they upgraded from like 28th to 22nd, which is crazy. And I want to put much more of that on Drew Lock than I want to give credit to the Raiders defense. This Raiders defense is still very susceptible to the pass. Drew Lock has been so inaccurate this season, and he's making bad decisions from time to time. So I think this is, I think that was a mirage. This Raiders defense is susceptible to give up 40 points in a given game. And I think the Chiefs get theirs in this one.
Yeah, I'm with you here, Jesse. Lock it in, -7. And I think we should be able to get about 2.01 when the mark comes up. So I know I was kind of shading that way against odds against. So I like it. All right.
Sounds good for a tickle anyway. Yep.
Absolutely, it does. Jesse, give me betting in the Packers and the Indianapolis Colts.
So, I mean, how the mighty have fallen, huh? I mean, Jacksonville Jaguars give you a bit of a game, and now the Packers aren't so they're not so mighty anymore. I mean, getting points for the Indianapolis Colts +1.5 here. I mean, to be fair, that's not a million miles away from a pick'em game. And Colts 1.87 with the over/under at 51.
Dinsick, Jesse touched on it there. The look-ahead line to this about 10 days ago was the Colts +2.5. They're now -1.5. What has happened in 2 weeks for a field goal to be adjusted there? I don't see it.
There are a couple injuries to the Packers secondary, but this feels more like a market overreaction to me. I make this game a pick'em. I don't think that the Colts match up especially well against the Packers, really, in the same way that they did last week against the Titans, for instance. There are a couple of positives here for the Colts. I'll acknowledge they have 10 days to prepare for this. In general, they're the more healthy team. In general, their offensive line should give Phillip Rivers time, and he can do some damage down the field potentially against a secondary that's ailing. But I think the much more favorable matchup here is, what the Packers can do against this particular style of defense that the Colts run. First of all, there's been an enormous split in performance from Aaron Rodgers this season when you look at how he has played indoors and in calm conditions versus how he's been outdoors with a little bit or a lot of wind. And indoors and in calm conditions, he has been so spectacular that I would expect nothing less than superlative Aaron Rodgers to show up in this matchup, on top of the fact that Davante Adams is playing at an all-pro level. And Davante Adams, he pretty much single-handedly ran Xavier Rhodes out of Minnesota. I mean, he owns Xavier Rhodes, period. And now we get to see that matchup again. That's fantastic. I can't wait to see that. In general, the style of defense that the Colts play, where they keep everything in front of them and they try to protect against the deep pass. If Rodgers has time and his wide receivers are getting open in the middle, intermediate level of the field, and he's delivering precision passes in calm conditions because it's indoors. That spells trouble for the Colts defense, in my opinion. I have in the back of my head, I feel like this defense is still overrated by the market. All the statistics would tell you that they're top 2-3 in the league, but they haven't really been tested by a passing offense that's as dangerous as this Packers team. And, I don't necessarily know that what we saw, the way that they played against the Titans is indicative of, what they can do against the top tier offense. So I think this sets up quite well for the Packers to score, put pressure on the Colts. And I don't love Phillip Rivers in a comeback situation at all, really. I think Packers up 2 scores, this thing's probably a wrap.
Yeah, that Colts offensive line, though, is giving him a lot of time. So it might be a look at the over there as well. I know there's going to be a bit of under money already come. But, Sommer, what are you thinking with this one?
I've bet the Packers, I think yesterday at +120 or better. I made this game a pick'em as well, so +120 with Aaron Rodgers in the dome. I was signed up. Regarding the Jaguars game last week, so I also thought, oh wow, they have lots of issues against this Jaguars team at home. This morning I've rewatched the game, and I think the Packers played at the bottom line of their potential variance. They had a minus 0.4 EPA per play on third down. I've made some notes. 3rd and 2, drop by Devontae Adams, punt. 3rd and 2, wide receiver screen to Devontae Adams, stopped. 3rd and 3, throwaway, turnover on downs. 3rd and 8, pick by Aaron Rodgers. 3rd and 17, touchdown to Devontae Adams, nullified by a penalty. So it was really a crazy game. There were some heavy wins. So the Packers had a completely vanilla offense. They were running the ball, all those quick passes, quick screens, etc. Almost no deep passes. The Jaguars, they played extremely disciplined on defense. So they were all in on those quick screens. They sniffed some run plays. So I think the Jaguars defense played a really good game, and the Packers offense played really at the bottom end of their potential outcomes, potential variance. So it's not anything predictive going forward, in my opinion. And like Drew said, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have tons of success against that zone-heavy scheme by the Colts. Xavier Rhodes on the outside, Rock Ya-Sin, tough matchup against the Packers. Alan Lazard is coming back. He started the season, I think, with 13 catches and 270 yards in 3 games. He's going to come back. On the defensive side, Kevin King should be back this week, cornerback. Jair Alexander is coming off a concussion. So tomorrow he should be removed 2 weeks from that concussion. So I expect him to play at least more than 50%. In the end, it comes down to this game should be a pick 'em, in my opinion. I get Aaron Rodgers in a dome with a full strength offense against Phillip Rivers. I got plus 180. Sign me up.
Yeah, again, plus 110 at the moment. 2.09, just under that, plus 1 point.
I mean, this is the kind of look I really like. What do you guys think about the line movement from here? You know, maybe public is a bit on Indianapolis. Is there going to be a lot of sharp money coming in on Green Bay? Where does that settle?
So last 2 weeks, the Colts were pretty heavily supported by the market. They got that strong action in favor of Indianapolis against Baltimore. They flipped across 0 to be small favorites against Tennessee last week. And having gotten rewarded for all of that support, it's interesting to me that this is pretty much one-way market action for the Packers. That suggests to me that it's not coming this week. And then I think that this probably does close to a pick'em. And I'm with Suma. I'm in early on a money line here, and I would love some market confirmation for once. It would be nice if this doesn't get thrown in my face as we get into the limits go up. But I think this is one way action for Green Bay.
Fine, just excuse me for 1 minute, please, gentlemen.
It's all right, Jesse. If you're getting bets, don't just mute your mic or fine, man. No problem there. And we can probably thank Jake Luton, or as you and Andy call him, through Use Lighting, for getting us probably a better number here.
What's wild?
The phone return.
Suma brought up some great points about the Packers having sort of fluky bad luck on offense, but Luton was. He was bad. He was so bad in that game. I don't know. It was a pretty fluky couple special teams plays for the Jaguars. The big punt return for a touchdown. If they don't get that punt return for a touchdown and they're playing from behind from that point through the rest of the game, and any of the Packers, any of the Packers fluky bad luck on third down is negated, then. That's probably a 21-point game. I think that was a very misleading box score. The fact that I was only a 4-point win is definitely help. It's definitely giving us a better price here. But I don't want to give Luton any credit. He wasn't very good at all. He was not good.
Yeah. I was trying to give him some credit for the week before that pirouette into the end.
I'm mostly saying that in case anyone out there thinks Luton can do that again against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I would take some pause.
It's not a game we're going to cover yet. Gentlemen, let's move on to the final game of the main slate we're going to cover. The Falcons at the Saints. No Drew Brees this week, Jesse, but what's the market telling us so far?
Right. Have they even announced if it's going to be?
No, he's not starting.
They're not committing yet. So Saints now into a 5-point favorite situation. I think that's moved about three points?
Yes,
1.442 on the money line. And look, just worth, I think, noting, you can see that this over round 102%, that's actually, I mean, maybe tighter than some sports books, but pretty wide from what we've been generally seeing at Matchbook on a Wednesday. And I think that's probably due to, as you said, so much uncertainty in the COVID situation. And I guess just a kind of a shout out, if you think you have inside information, on injury, you bet early. If not, it's going to get tighter later in the week when things clear up, would be my guess. Over under here, 50.5.
Yeah, many a sports book though, Jess, you won't get 2% on a Wednesday. I can tell you that much.
Oh no.
Sure.
You have to come to Matchbook.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd be talking 5 to 6 or 1.83 either side. Summa, talk to me about this one. I find this quite interesting. The look ahead, as Jesse kind of pointed out, was the Saints -7. Are we saying that Drew Brees to this offense right now, down to Jameis Winston, is just a 2-point downgrade? What are you thinking of that one?
To be honest, I've been waiting since March to get involved in an actual football game with Jameis Winston.
There's only one way this is going. This isn't an underplay, Jesse. It's not an underplay.
So Drew Brees is without a doubt the much better quarterback than Jameis Winston, but I think Jameis Winston is the best backup in the league, especially in this new environment. I looked it up today. Over the past 3 seasons, since 2017, there were 47 quarterbacks who attempted at least 500 dropbacks. Out of those 47 quarterbacks, there is a metric called expected completion percentage that looks at the depth of target, the location on the field, weather impact, was the game played in a dome or outside, and then it calculates what completion percentage you can expect in terms of what throws a quarterback is attempting. And Jameis Winston ranks second to last, 46th in expected completion percentage. So in Tampa Bay, they ran a scheme that relied on a dropback passing offense. Jameis Winston had to hold the ball and sling it down the field to isolated vertical routes. And that was very tough to execute. And he threw lots of interceptions for sure, but he's also been very efficient doing that. So out of those 47 quarterbacks, he ranks 15th in EPA per dropback and 11th in success rate over that time frame. So you have all these crazy wild throws into a triple coverage, but you have a basically big play machine that can escape from condensed pockets and sling it down the field. And guess which 2 quarterbacks rank first and second in expected completion percentage over the time stretch? Teddy Bridgewater played for the Saints last year and for a former Saints offensive coordinator this year, and Drew Brees, second place. So it's a completely new environment. He's going to play behind a great offensive line. He's going to play for Sean Payton. He's got Michael Thomas, Jared Cook, Emmanuel Sanders, Alvin Kamara. I think that Sean Payton is going to open up the playbook. He did that with Teddy Bridgewater after 2 or 3 games last year. They started with a lot of screens, short, quick passes, had some great game scripts. But then I think against the Bucs in that game where they scored like 37 points or something, finally Sean Payton opened up the offense, play action, deep posts, deep dig routes, crossing routes, and that's exactly the kind of offense you can play with Jameis Winston. Deep posts, crossing routes, to Emmanuel Sanders, to Michael Thomas. But we will also see lots of small, quick passes, screens, get him into a rhythm, schemes some guys open. So this is really going to be a completely different offense. And I think if you give Jameis Winston some quick passes, some easy passes, a good offensive line, and mix in some of those deeper routes to good receivers, I think this offense can be very efficient. And I would not expect a huge drop-off from Drew Brees over the next couple of weeks. Sure, Drew Brees has these security. He is going to drive the ball downfield with pinpoint accuracy, highly efficient underneath. that's probably going to be a small downgrade, or let's say a bigger downgrade. But I think Jameis Winston gives you a little bit more upside on these deeper passes, and the whole environment combined. I think Jameis Winston is going to be fine. I played the over 50 and a half. Today, some money came back. I think it moved from 51.5 to 50 and a half today. I love the over here. Since week 5, the Falcons lead the league in EPA per dropback, in dropback success rate. Matt Ryan is really on a roll. They get Calvin Ridley back. I think they should be successful against the Saints defense. Dirk Cutter likes to run the ball. They can't run the ball, and they will absolutely struggle to run the ball against the Saints. But Dirk Cutter has also shown us a tendency, if they can run the ball and if they are behind, he abandons the run game and he gives the ball to Matt Ryan. And with Jameis Winston maybe scoring on a couple of drives early, that puts the game and some pressure on the Falcons. They are going to open up their passing game. So I think this could very well turn into a shootout. 2 solid quarterbacks, 2 solid passing attacks, and the Falcons' defense is highly questionable. So this could be something like 30-24, 30-27, something like that. And yeah, I'm happy with the over here.
And as much as you made a good case for why Jameis will have success in this offense, there is always that possibility of a pick 6, because he only had 30 receptions last season, and probably about 6 of them were returned for touchdowns. Drew Dinsick, what are your thoughts here?
I think Suma's breakdown was very strong, and I agree that the drop off from Drew Brees to Jameis Winston is not high. I would say that it's probably the greatest this week, because it's going to take a little bit of time to change some aspects of the offense. I don't know how quickly they're going to be able to implement everything they want to do with Jameis eventually. I'm expecting this to be about a 3-week absence for Drew Brees. I would expect Jameis starts this week, next week, and then the following week against the Falcons again. And honestly, whatever happens in this game with Jameis Winston, if it's not if it's not as positive, it's not as spectacular as we were expecting, I think that gives us another opportunity in a couple of weeks to take advantage of that. So keep that in the back of your head. I also am a little worried that just because it's the first week of this transition, we may get more Taysom Hill than we want in this one. I don't really know that we need 10 snaps for Taysom Hill in this game, but we might see him. So it's that that's in the back of my head a little bit as well. What I think is funny about this transition from Brees to Winston, and why the market is kind of stopped at a 2-point transition here, is I thought that the 7 was not a fair line. The distance between the Saints and the Falcons is not 6 points at all. The Falcons are at least league average team right now. They're playing at least, if not a little bit better than league average. Can
I just make a point about that? Because I've been kind of on the Falcons bandwagon small, but I think they're probably one of the better 3 and 6 teams you see. Their points differential is -8 through 9 games. And let me tell you who that's better than. That's better than the similar tier. It's better than the Browns, the Pats, the Broncos, the Bears, the Vikings, the Lions, and the Panthers. All around similarly. I think they're the best of that group. And I don't know. I just think they're playing so well since Raheem Morris took over. And yeah, I don't know. I'd struggle laying Jameis -5 here. But don't get me wrong. I like Suma's angle with the over though. That would be one I'd prefer to come in on.
Yeah, I think. I mean, just from a pure line value standpoint, I downgrade the Saints from about a 3.5 points better than a neutral. Than an average team on a neutral with Drew Brees to about 2 with Jameis. So it's a meaningful downgrade, maybe about 9-10% in terms of win probability against an average team. Some of that is because of Jameis's propensity to turn it over. Some of it is because Drew Brees was absolutely playing out of his mind this year. He was playing very, very well this season, a lot better than he has the last couple of years. So I do think there is a downgrade. The problem is, if with Drew Brees, I would have made this game 5, and now with Jameis, I make it 3. So I'm gonna end up on the Falcons here at 5, just because I don't think that the original reference point for adjusting was correct. And this should be a very competitive game. There's not a lot of surprises here for the Atlanta defense. They prepared for Jameis Winston twice last season. twice the season before. So this is not like a huge wrinkle or, surprise for them. And, in general, the Falcons have played the Saints pretty tough over the last several years. This is a good, tough, this is a good, tough rivalry. And if you're going to get me out over a field goal in this one, then I'll be taking the points. Also,
some key defensive injuries, potential injuries for the Saints. Malcolm Brown, Marshall Lattimore. So they're two big cogs in that defense as well. Jesse, I don't know. I definitely want to lock in over 50.5. I know that line has tilted up towards 51.
I agree with that look too.
Yeah, but I think there could be a case for Falcons +5 here as well.
Sounds like the side is really interesting. Obviously, that's going to be monumental news, even though you expect it when they do finally announce who's starting, and you could expect some market movement.
They have announced. They've announced. Brees is definitely out. Yeah.
So maybe it's going to settle there. But yeah. Atlanta sounds tasty. I mean, then you're just basically, Atlanta in the over. You're just praying for the Jameis Winston pick sixes all the time.
Oh,
any deep ball there is.
It's a terrific experience, and it does happen. Yeah, it absolutely does happen. It's a terrific experience.
Yeah, you don't want to be the other way around where you're praying for no pick six. That's not a good experience.
You've learned that lesson.
Or worse again, be involved in a game back in the under that Jameis Winston is playing quarterback and he's throws a pick six, and he can be terrific. But look, 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions last year. It tells its own story. Let's do a quick recap, gentlemen, just before we move on to our ladder section. So here's what we have so far through 4 games. We actually have some nice looks here. The Bucs -3.5. We have the Chiefs -7. The Packers on the money line at 2.09. As we just mentioned there, the over 50.5 in the Falcons and Saints, and the Falcons +5. So 5 selections in 4 games. I like it. Before we jump into top dogs and best bets, Drew, anything else just kind of that you might have had a tickle off this week?
There's only one other one that really stands out on the card, in my opinion, and it's the under in Denver. I think after that 4-pick performance by Drew Lock, and also the injury status of Drew Lock, there is a high likelihood that the Denver Broncos are spending this week crafting a very conservative game plan that is a run-heavy approach, either be it for Brett Rippon or for a limited Drew Lock. I think that sets up well for kind of a slow, lower scoring game. On top of this, you have Tua on the road at altitude in the elements. This Dolphins team is probably peaking in terms of how they're rated by the market, but they should still get this win. And I think this is going to be kind of an ugly slog of a game, and the Dolphins can lean on their defense to get the win. So I like the under in this one, and I think fair price should be about 43.5. So I'll take anything over 44. I'll do the under.
What have we got at the moment there, Jesse? Have you got that to hand? The Dolphins, Broncos under?
It's 5.5, but I think there is some injury stuff going on there at the moment.
There is, of course, a Drew Lock, but I don't know. I mean, like you lose Lock there. Is there a major difference between him and Brett Rippon? I don't really see it. I
might be totally wrong.
It potentially could be an upgrade. Yeah. Suma, anything else for you, mate, or should we just move on?
Let's talk quickly about a match where we don't have any odds available right now. That's Carolina against Detroit. Drew, what do you expect to open the total?
I mean, Stafford's got an injured thumb. Teddy Bridgewater's got a knee. I'm guessing we're going to see 51.
So there were some look-aheads with 49, but it's really nothing on the board right now. So Stafford, they said that he should be fine and that injury is not going to bother him. Teddy Bridgewater has a low ankle sprain. Or
I think it's it was an MCL sprain in his knee.
Yeah. Oh, that okay. So if both are ready to go, I think we might be able to get an deflated total, and which could very well shape up for an overplay, because Joe Brady against the Lions defense and Matt Patricia is gonna be one of the craziest matchups coaching wise. And on the other side, the Panthers defense cannot stop anything. So Kenny Golladay might be back for the Lions this week. So we might get a very low total because the market might overreact to those quarterback injuries.
Yeah, that's definitely one to watch for sure. Who's the Panthers' backup quarterback? Is he a guy from Temple?
PJ Walker. Yeah.
He was
He was
Temple, isn't he? Yeah.
XFL most recently, the Houston Roughnecks quarterback.
I mean, I'm seeing a 45.5 in Pennsylvania, so maybe Stu was right.
45.5, really?
Wow.
Wow.
But yeah, if you're thinking Teddy Two Clubs doesn't go, it's a downgrade quarterback, so you're point expectancy at the Zoom.
I actually would. I don't mind it even if Teddy's gets rested. I mean, I would almost worry more about the over if Teddy's out there and he's limited and they're trying to do a more run heavy, quick pass approach, because Teddy's been so effective with letting the play develop down the field and striking intermediate and deep. And if they're worried about him getting hit, and they crafted, because they crafted a really I hated their offensive look against that on the Thursday night game against the Falcons. I just didn't like what they were trying to do, and I felt like a lot of it was because they were concerned about the offensive line injuries and they wanted to try to get the ball out quicker, and they thought Teddy could run that type of offense, but it just didn't work. I would rather see them do what they do best, and they may be better off doing that with PJ Walker than with an injured Teddy Bridgewater.
Okay, definitely want to monitor as we move along during the week. Not so good in top dogs last week, guys. Not so good. But look, we had a pretty good 66% average throw the majority of the season. But look, it's week 11. We have 7 regular season weeks to go. Drew Dinsick, top dog this week, man.
I'm going to stick with the Packers. Tough call between the Packers and the Falcons, but I have a higher confidence the Packers are going to win. I think the Falcons probably lose by 3. So let's go with the Packers.
Sommer.
Then I'm going to take the Texans at home against the Patriots. That my line has come down. It was much better on Monday, I guess. But I don't think there's any separation between those teams right now. And it's basically a coin flip game. Deshaun Watson has been balling out this season. The Patriots defense cannot really stop anything right now. I think after that game against the Ravens, they might be slightly overrated.
They got a major assist from the weather. Major assist.
Exactly.
We won't have that weather in Houston under the dome.
Exactly. So Pats could be able to run the ball, but to be honest, coin flip game, and I would take the home dog there.
All right, just to round off this treble, I'm going to take the Atlanta Falcons. I think they're 3.08, which is just over 2-1 at Matchbook currently, and I think that's going to boost our treble. And I think Jesse, that pays about 10.5.
10.5, yep, not bad. Could be 2 wrong dogs there. Anyway, too. So
potentially, yeah, absolutely. I genuinely do think we could get a Jameis Winston experience potentially. And I'm kind of a fan of the Falcons. I think
the Falcons could, the Falcons could be good. Like they could, Suma brought up some great points about their recent statistical profile is strong. They've had some fluky bad luck in the red zone. Like they've settled for a lot of field goals when they should have scored touchdowns. If that flips on a dime and they score touchdowns instead of field goals, they could be good.
Yeah, absolutely, potentially. And like you said, a lot of close games they've lost. We know only too well at the start of the season, blowing big point leads. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. All right, let's move on. Let's run it off. Week 11 best bets. Suma, you're in the clubhouse again, mate. After your win last week, where are you going this week?
I go with Flamis over 50.5. Yeah, that's
look. I like that angle way more than laying 5 with Jameis against the Falcons. So I'm with you there. I love the ankle. Drew, your best bet, man.
Man, I like all these. They're all. I like them all so much. I'll go with. I'll stick with the Packers. Riding with the Packers is the top dog, is the best bet. The Packers get this one.
Trifecta.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
And nothing will make me happier than Phillip Rivers down 2 scores late in that game. I will just be glowing. This sets up so much like the opening week 1 game against the Minnesota Vikings. Just all of the matchups, all of the scheming, everything sets up exactly like this. You got a full strength Packers team. I think the Packers get the win.
All right, I'm going to jump in here. I'm 1-2 on the season, and I attacked the Denver first half handicap, opposing them 2 weeks ago against Atlanta. And if it ain't broke, baby, there ain't no need to fix it. I'm going to take Miami -2 in the first half against the Broncos. And I don't want to get too much into trends here, but let's look at the first half splits for both these teams. Miami gives up only 9.9 points in the first half this season. It's third in the league. They're scoring 18.1 in the first half, which is second in the league. 23, by the way, averaging 23 in the last 3 games. Denver giving up 14.6, and they're scoring just under 8 points in the first half through the first couple of weeks. That ain't great. And let's be honest about it, Tua over Drew Lock. I like the coaching matchup, Flores against Fangio, and I like that Dolphins defense against that Broncos offense. It's going to be low scoring. First half, Miami -2. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. How about Flores pulling the trigger and swapping quarterbacks, and Tua's undefeated? Amazing.
There you go. I think you called that a couple of weeks ago. We were probably a bit on the fence, but yeah, I think you got some good takes on that. It looks good. They look really good. Jesse, you still love those Dolphins, right?
I do, because they're so much fun right now to watch. I'll root these guys at least through the playoffs.
Through the playoffs. Oh, okay. Oh, interesting.
At least that. But potentially we've got a finally found a team in that division to root for, because
interesting wrinkle for you if you're looking in the long arc for the Dolphins. They finished this season road week 16-17. So if they get in on the wild card instead of winning the AFC East, they are going to be one of the prime fades in round 1 of the playoffs.
And
especially rookie quarterback. Checks every single box. I don't think Flores he's never coached a playoff game as a head coach. And that's like one where let's see, who would they be matched up against if they're in the 6th seed? They would be up against probably Indy. Tennessee or Colts. They're going to be 3 or 4 point underdogs maybe on the road. That will be just spectacular.
It's perfect big play, because I'm the epitome of the dumb guy who by that time is going to be so fired up on the Dolphins that I'll just be firing in blindly.
It's probably going to be Colts hosting the Dolphins, and the Colts will be 3 or 3.5 point favorites.
Yeah. No, that sounds about right. No, they're a fun team. I think they're definitely a team for the next 2 or 3 years. They probably will slightly overachieve this year. But yes, they're fun. They're fun to watch, well coached, and they've just got a lot going for them. All right, guys, we're out of time. Jesse, thanks as ever for filling in this week. We'll see you in week 13. Unlucky for some, Jesse. Drew Dinsick, thanks as everybody. So, we've got Rob on next week for week 12. So we'll kick Jesse. We'll put Jesse out the pasture for that one. We'll bring him back in for week 13. Suma, thanks as ever. Exactly. Yeah. We just bring in the younger guy, the hot hand. All right, guys, we're out of time. Thanks for watching today. Thanks for listening. Best of luck with your bets. We got 6 bets even locked in for week 11. Go well.